Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. It's Thursday, April 29th. New guidance out from the SBA on targeted EIDL advance and the supplemental targeted advance timing and email invites, when they're going out, what the timing is there. I'm going to talk about that. This is new information from the SBA. If you're still waiting for either your targeted EIDL advance or supplemental, be sure to watch until the end. We also have a new survey up as of 3 hours ago. We asked the question, have you gotten an email invite yet for the $5,000 supplemental grant? 93% of you have said no, you haven't been invited yet. 7% yes. So still a long way to go, but I'll go into the details because what the SBA put together answers a lot of questions. Hundreds of you continue to leave comments. We'll do our best to answer. By the way, if you do two things right now, go download our free app, Hello Skip, in the App Store and Google Play, because we go in-depth on step-by-step instructions for not only this program, but a lot of other grant programs as well. For example, there's a new $10,000 and $5,000 grant that we posted about on the app. It's up there now. Second, hit subscribe, because starting on Monday this week, our entire team has been spending time answering questions here and there, responding to you on YouTube as well as on our app. It's a commitment we've made to help even more, not only after I do these videos, but we'll try to answer some of your questions, especially the common ones, right here on YouTube. If you support that effort, do hit subscribe and turn on alerts. We've been covering everything SBA related and small business related since March 2020, and we're going to keep doing it, so thanks so much for your support. If you're a restaurant and you're curious about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, registrations start tomorrow. The applications open up on Monday. I did an in-depth video this morning, so go check it out on our channel or on our app. I go over everything, including eligibility, timing, how much you can get. Hint, it's a lot. Basically, it will cover the gap between your 2020 and 2019 revenue, whatever gap that was in decline. The RRF minus PPP will cover that gap. I go into what exactly you need to do to complete the application on the SBA portal. So find that on our channel or on the Skip app. I'm going to keep this video brief, so be sure to watch until the end. First, on the poll, I want to highlight a few of the most common questions. Lisa says, no email yet. I meet all the criteria as well. Many of you have said that. Thank you, Lisa. And many of you, like Brenda here, are still waiting for the first one. You know, that's the majority of people. You are still waiting for the 10K, and you're upset that SBA is talking about the additional 5K when there are people still struggling. You've been waiting months and months. Many of you waiting a full year, to be honest, for anything, 1,000, 2,000, let alone the 10,000, let alone the additional 5,000. So a lot of complaints about the inequity here, the perceived inequity. You know, there are limited funds, so the SBA has had to make certain policy decisions. This is the last call today, by the way, if you want to support our ChangeEIDLRules.com campaign. Here's how it looks when you go to that address. You can add your name. You will be added to the petition. We have the letter drafted to Isabel Guzman saying you should rethink the low-income community provision. Try to do more. You can allocate more funding, but just be aware that there are many deserving businesses that are doing great things for our communities that are being left out because of the low-income community rule. I'm going to talk about the details there in a second. But anyway, last call for that. We're going to send the letter very soon. Karen, similar sentiment. You applied when you got the targeted email invitation. So far, you've gotten nothing from them. Abby says, no, you haven't gotten an invite because you're not in a low-income community, even though you're living 2 blocks away from one. Many of you just expressed your frustration with the SBA. So we hear you. A lot of good comments here. Would love to know your situation in this video and where you're at, and if anything's changed in terms of email invites or not. But let me share the important answers to your questions. Can you apply now? Straight from the SBA, they updated this 2 days ago. No, you have to wait for an invite. You will probably not see any buttons on your portal to push until you get an invite from the SBA. The SBA pre-screens. They basically believe certain people are eligible based on the address they have on file, based on any targeted EIDL data they have. They may think you already meet the 50% decline, etc. So they're going to invite you. They're still going through it. Many of you think it's too slow, but you cannot apply until you get the email. What's the difference between targeted and supplemental? I've gone over this a lot, but just to repeat very clearly, 10 or fewer employees for both, low-income community provision for both, unless they change that, and for targeted, 30% economic loss over an 8-week period. For supplemental, 50% loss over an 8-week period. So that is the only difference, 20% margin. And I've said this lots of times, chances are if you had 30% loss, you also have 50% off. I mean, that is not a big difference. So chances are, if you've gotten the targeted EIDL advance early on, you've gotten an invite for supplemental. I would love to hear if there are exceptions, like if you have qualified for targeted, but you do not meet the supplemental criteria. Let me know in the comments. 3, the big one, when will SBA begin sending email invites? Well, we know they've already been sending out email invites for the targeted. For the supplemental, they say right here, starting April 21st, last week, the SBA began sending out email invitations. In fact, I broke that news. I did a step-by-step breakdown of what the email looks like, what to do in the flow, and then to check your SBA portal, because there's an extra step there that the SBA did not communicate. You need to check your portal and click the button to submit your application. That's on the app as well. Do you have to reapply if you previously applied? No, the SBA will reach out to you. Well, if you're locked out of your account, by the way, you can call the customer service center, 1-800-659-2955, or by email, targetedadvance@sba.gov. By the way, I've heard this firsthand from the SBA and from many of you. Their call center is constantly improving. So if you have questions, you can likely get help from someone on the phone, 1-800-659-2955. They can answer specific situations, even make notes on your account, change your account now. Their call center has come a long way, so that may be some of the best advice, to give them a call or email them if you have questions. Okay, about the low-income mapping tool, you know in January we were the first folks to put up a low-income lookup. No one else had it, not even the SBA. We spent a few weeks because I knew this was going to be a big question. It's still haunting most of you. So we put it up based on census data. However, the SBA has also put up a variation, and there's a few differences, okay? And I'm going to go into what those differences are if you want to check and understand the rationale, why they're using the data they are using for the low-income community provision, okay? So you can go to sbaeidl.policymap.com/app. Here's where the data comes from for all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and DC. Data was sourced from the 2015-2019 U.S. Census Bureau American Community Survey, ACS. That's not the full census. The ACS is a small subset of people taken in between censuses. Censuses are every 10 years. We just had the 2021, so they don't have the data for that. They're not using the data for that. They're using it from the 2015-2019 ACS. By the way, in certain locations where there isn't ACS data, they use the 2010 census data. So it's a bit confusing there because they're basically picking 2015-2019 most up-to-date for most places. However, when they don't have that, they use 2010. And many of you are in areas that may be changed or flipped, which is very unfortunate. You could be in gentrifying areas that would have qualified for an earlier one, but you don't qualify now, something like that. But anyway, the SBA is the one making the decision here. So even tools like ours are for illustrational purposes only. They cover most cases, but bottom line, we're not determining funding, so you need to check with the SBA and their mapping tool if you haven't done that already. Okay, 2 questions to end on here. If your business address moved, many of you have asked about this. You had one address, but you moved. Lots of us moved in the last year, relocating because of the pandemic, because of your situation. So your business moved. Are you still eligible for targeted EIDL advance? This is important. What the SBA says is they will ask you, where's your address now? And they will check, is that address in a low-income community? So just be aware of that. They're going to base it based on your current business address. And finally, how long will it take to receive your funds once approved? Again, here I'm going to read it. The SBA says their goal is to process all requests within 21 days of receiving completed application. That's a goal. They don't promise that. We know with the targeted, many of you have been waiting much longer than that. You've been waiting since February, but they say their goal, their stated goal is 21 days. We'll of course keep an eye on this with the supplemental, how quickly those supplementals are getting out. If your request has been approved, you'll get an email notification and an automatic deposit. That's different than last year. Last year, they did not email you if you were approved for the original EIDL advance. They just put it in your bank account. So you may have been surprised you saw 1K, 2K, 10K right in your bank account, but you never got an email saying, hey, this is for the EIDL advance. Well, now they'll email you. Okay, that's the quick update. I will leave a link to this in the description. It is also on our app. Thank you so much for supporting us and subscribing. Supporting our team by subscribing so more of us can help you here. After we do videos, we can also help answer some of your questions. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.